life, business, reinvention, and the lessons that outlive us. This is the Dave of the Dead podcast.
Welcome to Dave of the Dead podcast. I'm here today with a very special guest, and I'm going to give her a quick intro, and we're going to get right into it. Reinvention, folks, usually isn't a decision you announce. It takes shape quietly through small shifts, honest questions, and choices that start to add up. My guest today, Kim Gamez, knows that kind of reinvention all too well. She's a builder, a mother of 5, an entrepreneur who's shaped by showing up again and again and again, not by chasing a spotlight, but by building companies and living the grind and working harder and out hustling those around her. And she's built companies, and her latest company I'm going to tell you about is called Soberish, which didn't really even start as a business. It started as an at-home experiment with her mom around non-alcoholic hemp-infused drinks. And what a business it has become. We're going to talk all about it. But this conversation isn't about what Kim has built. It's about who she's become and why the most meaningful pivots aren't driven by momentum, but by the ability to keep going when it's gone. Please welcome Kim Gamez. Hi, Kim.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you today.
I'm so excited too. So as our viewers are coming to experience, this is about life, business, reinvention, and lessons that outlive us. I always start with, life, where it all began. And, who is Kim Gamez? Who were you, before you're the Kim that the world knows today? I'd love you to share a little bit more about your early days and sort of what created your entrepreneurial spark that has led you to who you are today.
Thanks. Yeah, I was just a small town girl. I mean, I graduated in a class of 80 people in Napoleon, Michigan, so right in mid-Michigan. And I was raised by entrepreneurs, so I didn't know what it was like to have parents who worked, from 9 to 5 jobs. My parents were real estate investors. They had their own real estate brokerage. And so I just saw my parents day in and day out hustling for the next thing. I knew right out of high school that I wanted to be some kind of entrepreneur, maybe. I thought initially that I wanted to go to beauty school and become, maybe own my own salon one day. And I was actually putting in perm rods one day, and I thought, there is no way I want to do this for the rest of my life. And so I asked my dad, I'm like, how can I get my real estate license? And he's like, well, there's actually a class next week. It's a 40-hour-week class. So you can get your real estate license. And if you pass your state boards the next week, you're licensed. I'm like, really? That's all that it takes? So 18-year-old me got my license literally in a week, passed my state boards, first try. Whew, unlike my brother, I think he had to take it a couple times. And yeah, then that next week I bought my first rental property of all things. I had got enough money from my high school graduation party. Everyone seemed to give cash, and I had a couple $1,000s in gifts. And my dad goes, Kim, you could use that as a down payment on a house. And so that's exactly what I did. I bought my first duplex with a couple $1,000s down. Didn't live in it. I rented actually a house for my parents, and I rented those out to someone else because I felt like I made more money then. And yeah, that's how I actually got into it.
No better place to start than real estate. Are you still in real estate to this day, or that was just the spark that led you down your other path?
Yeah, so over the years, all the businesses that we've had, so our first business was restaurants. I always joke that we invested all of our taco money into real estate, and now we have just under 150 properties in and around our town.
What? 150 properties in and how did I not know this, Kim? Of course.
I don't know. I don't talk about it. I'm just like, oh, we have a little bit more money. Let's put another down payment on a house. So,
Oh my God.
yeah.
All right. So you've always had this as, sort of underpinning everything else you're doing. You're a real estate mogul. I did not know this. And sorry, you are based in where? We got to establish where you're from.
Jackson, Michigan. So we're right like in the middle of your palm, towards your wrist if you put out your hand. So.
Okay. For those who don't understand what that is, Michigan is that state right in the middle of the country. Yeah, just hold up your palm.
Yes,
And that's
I would
how
say
you
if
find
you know
Kim.
anyone from Michigan, they put up their hand and they point to their palm. And so I'm down by your wrist at the Ohio border. So yeah.
Okay. So you've been an
Fun
entrepreneur
fact.
really all these years, and you grew up in Michigan. You are obviously very well established there in that business. take me down the path of, okay, so real estate was one thing. Tell me about a little bit more about your life and, how you sort of established yourself from a young age.
So I met my husband right out of high school. I was 19 years old and I was introduced to this cute little Mexican man who convinced me to be his English tutor because I told him I needed a part-time job. Little did I know that he was hitting on me the whole time. I was kind of oblivious to it. And I remember one night he was like, "Do you want to be my girlfriend?" And I'm like, "How many times do I need to tell you I don't want to be your girlfriend?" He's like, "No, I'm not asking you to be my girlfriend. I need to practice my English. So one day when I ask someone to be my girlfriend, that they will understand what I'm saying." And he was just, I fell in love not only with his personality and everything, but the culture, his life, his journey. And then, yeah, so we were babies getting married. I was 20 years old when
Wow, so
we got
young.
married. So young. That summer, so we got married in March that summer, or I got pregnant literally on my wedding day. 9 months to the day, I had my bouncing baby boy. But that summer when I was pregnant, a restaurant in our hometown went up for sale, and my husband had always told my dad that it was a family's dream to own a restaurant. And so my dad said, "You can always go back to what you're doing. You could try this, and I think I can get it under a land contract." And so we were able to buy that restaurant. And when I was pregnant at 20 years old and with a liquor license of all things, I was a 20-year-old with a liquor license, kind of crazy. And yeah,
That's interesting.
right after my son was born, who that was a learning curve in itself, being a young mom, but he was born with a disability, airlifted to U of M Smots Children's Hospital, had like a 30% chance of life. And then once he came home, like 2 months, we got approved for a liquor license and we opened business. So I was literally a brand new mom to this, he was fine at that point, but my son, I was 20 years old. I was like a baby having babies and having a bar. And so we opened for a business. I'm like, I've waited tables and I can learn how to bartend. Like, how hard could it be? And gosh, knowing what I know now, I'm like, how the hell did I do that?
But
But
you can see the skills, learning on the job, fake it till you make it, whatever. What do you say? Fuel before fear. I want to talk about your mantra. Sorry, I just have questions. I am
yeah,
the
go
host
ahead.
here, Kim. I gotta ask some follow-up questions. So I'm sorry, most people are going, so she was teaching him English. At what point, like, did you speak any Spanish? Like, was it the language of love? Like when you met him, you could tell the type of person he was, right? By the
Mhm.
energy he was putting out. But did he speak any English whatsoever?
He did speak some. He was actually in medical school in Mexico when him and his family ran out of money. And so he came to the US and said, "I'm not only going to get back into school, but I'm going to pay for my 11 other brothers and sisters to go to school and be whatever they want to be." And so that's when I had met him. And he was actually trying to learn English. Like, he knew enough to talk to me. I mean, I didn't know any Spanish. But
Zero.
then we would do this thing of like he would tell me, I would talk to him in Spanish and he would talk to me in English. And that's how we actually just started communicating. Cause I wanted to learn, I'm like, I want to learn Spanish.
Of course,
Um,
we call that an intercambio. That's what we call that.
Intercambio.
Yeah,
Yeah. And now,
interchange.
yeah. And now he's obviously fluent in English and I'm pretty fluent in Spanish. So yeah.
Unbelievable. And you have built a beautiful family
22
of
years later or 3 years
Not many
later,
people
however
can
many it's
say
been.
that.
no, 5 children, right? I got it right?
Yeah, 5 children, yep, so my oldest just turned 23, and then, yeah, we have 5 total. And every
Oh,
time we've had a new business, I've found out that I'm pregnant again, and so we've had 5 businesses over the course of the 5 children, and now my tubes are tied, so that just means that the next step is retirement, so
unbelievable. So he had 11 siblings, or maybe 10,
Mhm.
including him, 11, 5 kids. Is this something you had always planned or just large family, just how this worked out?
He, honestly was fine with, like, 2 or 3, and I was like, "I want 6, I want 6." And I don't know if it was just, like, I fell in love with just being surrounded by family. Like, I had my 2 brothers, my mom and dad,
Yeah,
and, like, a couple distant cousins that I just never I didn't even have any girls in the family. Like, I was the only granddaughter on both sides. And so I'm like, "Ah, you're surrounded by cousins and parties and birthdays and anniversaries and quinceañeras and all these things that I was just like not." And so I thought, I want to surround myself. So one day when I'm an abuelita, my kids will surround me with their babies and their families. And this is just so amazing. So
It's so
I'm glad
beautiful.
we settled on 5.
Yeah, it's a good number. I would say it's a round number, but yeah, there's always, there's always room for a 6. Um, okay, so lots of questions. Culturally, is your family very blended culturally? Do you Mexican culture and American culture? Tell me a little bit about that, because that does lead into one of your businesses, of course, right? We'll talk about that in a minute.
Right. So I have to correct you, Dave. We do not have an American culture. Americans
Okay,
celebrate Thanksgiving, 4th of July. We have the Easter Bunny. There is no other culture. And so, I mean, so like when we have a birthday party, it's like invite a couple friends over. They come at a certain time, they leave at a certain time. When
yeah,
we have a wedding, you better RSVP for only those that are invited on the invite. That is not a thing in the Hispanic culture. You know this, Dave. Like
I do know
everyone is
this.
welcome to the party. You don't RSVP, it's fine. Just show up. If you want to bring beer, even better. If you want to bring your primos and your sister-in-law and all the people,
Right.
so be it. And so, and then, yeah, no. So we surround ourselves in the Hispanic culture. I mean, I just absolutely love it. My daughter has had her quinceañera. My boys actually celebrated their 15th birthday as well. We had like quinceañeros for them. It was really fun. Um, yeah, all the tres años and all the different parties, and we do the posadas at Christmas time. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful, and I'm so honored that the culture and the community has embraced me the way that they have over the years.
Yeah, I have a similar story with, Spain and now, whatever, Latino culture here in the US. That's less specific, but Caribbean Latino culture, I identify with it a lot. But this
Mhm.
is not about me, Kim. This is about you. And obviously, you fully embraced the culture. You were doing quinceañeras, quinceañeros. And that led you ultimately to a chapter in your life where you built a business called Mi Padrino. I'd love you to talk
Mhm.
about that and explain to everyone what that was and what that experience, what you learned from that.
Yeah, so we had our original restaurant, which then after I think we owned that for like 9 years, and we had an opportunity to buy another restaurant that had a banquet facility attached. And so I was actually helping my niece plan her quinceañera. And at the time in the banquet facility, we had funerals through weddings and anything in between that we were planning for families. And it was my first time actually being asked to help plan a quinceañera. I'd been to plenty of them. And I thought, well, gosh, I'd love to help, but I don't know how. And so I went to the internet, like anybody does when you're planning any kind of party, whether it's a gringo party or a Hispanic party. And I was like, how do you plan a quinceañera? And I literally found like crickets on the internet. Like, wait a minute. There's not like a checklist. I found there was a couple magazines available that I could have ordered or something, but there wasn't any resources. And I thought, well, goodness, if I were to plan a wedding right now, even though I've been to so many and whatever, I would still need help planning my own wedding. And if I were to go to search online, there are millions of resources, hundreds of online platforms and tools and what have you to plan these events. Yet for this quinceañera, which is, you know this, Dave, but the average quinceañera is around $20,000. And so it's
Yeah.
about the same as a wedding, yet there were zero resources to help families plan online. And so at the time, I remember thinking like, is it just the Gamez family that has these quinceañeras, or is there like a bigger market? And so I did a little bit of research, realized there was a 500,000 of these celebrated in the US every year. And I just did the quick math and I was like, this is a multi-billion-dollar market that no one is playing in. And at the time, my favorite show was Shark Tank. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I sure as hell can raise some money from investors. I watch those guys on Shark Tank do that. And I might not know how to run a tech or an app, type company, but I also don't know how to turn on the fryers in the restaurant. I also don't know one thing about like
You see?
maintaining properties. I will just hire people who that's their expertise. And so that was kind of like, I know how to build teams and I know how to do marketing. And so I thought I can hire for everything else. And so, yeah, with that, we launched Mi Padrino. We wanted to have, a couple hundred users the first year. In the first 6 months, in the first 6 months, we had over 50,000 users. The second year was 150. By the time the app was acquired, we had over 3 million users on the platform, and that was 5 years into the business.
Kim,
So,
how did
yeah.
you acquire users? How did people even find this? Search engine optimization? What did you, word of mouth? Both?
A couple things. So, like, we didn't know. I mean, being an outsider, I had to literally listen to the data. I had to read it, had to understand it, had to say, what are people clicking on? Do they like the blue button? Do they like the green button? Do they like the pink button? Do they like things in Spanish or in English? Like, I literally had to test everything because I had no knowledge base except for my own, which I knew was wrong. And so that's given me like foundation, like with all the other businesses. I'm like, that's literally what they say, customer discovery. You listen to your customers. What are they doing? What are they saying? You're not asking questions about your business. You're asking questions about how they're doing something. And then you morph your business around that. And so that's honestly what we did kind of by accident. I remember one of our very first posts, it was on Facebook. And I remember one of the investors that we were talking to before we launched said, when you come back with 100 users, we'll give you this $150,000 investment. And I was like, okay, I think I can do it. And I thought, this is going to take us a couple months probably. So I reached out to Jordan, kind of my right-hand man, and I said, hey, we should throw a Facebook ad or something up. I'm like, I think these families are on Facebook planning. And initially we thought we were going to be talking to the quinceañera, the girl that was having her party. We soon realized that the girl has nothing to do with her planning. Her mom does the
They're
entire
paying
planning.
for it, the parents, right? Yeah.
And so we just posted a post and it was like, do you know anyone planning a quinceañera? Let them know. There's like the new hot like quinceañera planning app. And everyone, I swear, everyone in the Hispanic culture, if you think about it, knows someone who's planning a quinceañera. So it was like
course.
tag, share, tag. We had 20,000 hits on our site that night. And so literally it was like, I talked to that investor on Monday. The site crashed that day because we had put $400 behind this. It was like nothing.
I was going to
But
ask
it
you, what did you
crashed.
spend? That's
$400.
quite a return on investment, Kim.
It was, and the site crashed, and so we're like, oh my gosh, like our world's over. But it was actually a blessing in disguise because that next day, it's like, how can we make sure this never happens again? And so we went back to actually build the foundation of the app so that it could not only handle 20,000, but could handle 20 million if that ever happened. And so yeah, literally that next day, I went back to that investor and said, I have those users, and they were like, no. How? Like, I just told you that yesterday and you just launched. I'm like, yeah, I have them. What do you need? So it was pretty great. It was pretty fun.
So we got to talk about this because this obviously, this fearless thinking, this anything is possible, fake it till you make it for all of you aspiring entrepreneurs out there. This is something you can't manufacture. Kim obviously has this. It's inherently in her. You learned some of it, I guess, from your parents. What's possible? The answer is anything's possible. It's remarkable that you were able to do that as a focus group of one, as we like to joke in this industry. But it mattered, and it really set the foundation, which we're going to talk about your newer, your latest business in a minute. And so you were just going through the motions here and, winning as you were doing it. What did you learn next? So the site crashed, you launched an app. What happened to the business next?
So many things. So the baby number 5 was not planned. I was actually scheduled to get my tubes tied. And when I went in to get my blood drawn the week before the surgery, they were like, we have to postpone your surgery. I was like, bummer. Why? They're like, you're pregnant. And I was like, no. And at the time, I had convinced my husband to sell that restaurant and bank facility to invest all of our savings and all of the money from that business into building this app. And now I thought, the whole plan is that I know I'm going to need to take outside capital, and there is no way I'm going to be able to do this. Not because I won't be able to do it with a baby. It's that investors won't give me money if they see that I'm pregnant. And I'm already a female, which I hate saying that out loud, but the statistics are true. And now, and it ended up being the case. Investors would love me on paper. I'd get the meeting. I'd go to a meeting because then there wasn't a lot of Zoom meetings. I would actually have to fly out and meet investors, and they would look at me, they would look down at my belly. They'd look at me, look at my belly. And so even though we had all this great traction, I mean, Mattel reached out because they had launched their new quinceañera Barbie to see how we could partner for a quinceañera line. We had, again, all of these users. It was just crazy. And so I knew that I had to get in front of investors that wouldn't judge anything about my physical being. And I went and pitched with my last $6,000 in the bank to an event, a female focused event in upstate New York. I'd actually just had my daughter. She was 2 weeks old. So I said, Mom, I'm nursing the baby. You need to come with me. We flew out there and in the hotel room and she texts me and she's like, the baby's hungry. I'm like, well, they're doing the awards ceremony. I am not going to win. Like there are like these heartbeat monitor, like whatever. They're like, people are going into outer space. These women are doing these like crazy technologies. And I'm here with this cute little party planning app. There's no way. There's no way I'm going to win any money. I'm like, just come here. I'll feed her, whatever. And so any nursing mom does whips out their boob, like, no shame in my game, like feeding the baby. And they're like, and the winner is Kim Gamez with me, Padrino. And
Nah.
everybody's turns around. I'm like huge boob out, like all the things. And I'm like mortified, like absolutely wanting to crawl in a hole. It was terrible. But it was so funny. So I'm like, let me just like get her off and cover and whatever. And they're like, no, bring her up here. So I'm like
Are
in the
you
photo
kidding
with
me?
my chest, with the baby still latched on. Granted, I was covered because I'm trying to like, be professional. But I literally wanted to die. But it was great because it was like just enough to get us over the hump. And then someone in the audience was good friends with Carly Rodney, who is the founder of The Knot, which is the world's largest wedding website. They're
Yep.
publicly traded XO Group. She said, is it okay if I introduce you to my friend? And I thought, oh my gosh, they could just copy what we're doing. But if they ever see us online, they could also do it then. So why not? So I took the
Sure.
call. They ended up making the investment. And then all of those old white guys that would only look at my belly came knocking and said, can we invest? Can we invest? So it went from like, you say it like
Yeah.
it seems like it was such a huge success, but it was so hard. It was just so hard. All of it was hard.
So sorry, there is a picture of you accepting this award with your child on stage, just to be
Yes.
clear. Okay, you
Yes.
need to send me that picture. I'm going to see if I'll stitch that in post-production. I'm sure people are dying to see that. That is incredible. I didn't know that story. Okay, and then ultimately you raised 150,000 just for our viewers who raise money. How much did you raise throughout all
We
this?
raised over the course just under $2 million.
So you raised millions of dollars. So the initial goal was much lower than that. And then,
The
yeah,
initial goal was $200,000 because I knew that's what it would take to get us built. But we were like an eyeballs game because we knew we needed families coming and planning, which was free, to then be able to either work with partners who would pay to be on the platform, or we had eventually started a marketplace
yeah.
portion of our platform. So we realized these families needed things for their parties, dresses, invitations, centerpieces, all of these things that they were looking for online. And so we were that resource for them online ultimately.
Okay, so circle that, viewers. Kim built a marketplace. This is a key learning for Kim, as you'll see in her life. She didn't know it yet, and Mi Padrino was the thing at the moment. Before we move on to your next business, how did Mi Padrino play out? This is right when I met you, by the way, when this was all playing out. Yeah.
Well, we were, growing. And then there was this thing called the, pandemic that happened. And so no one was
Oh,
planning events. And so it went from having record, week over week, month over month numbers to crickets. No one was planning events. And yeah, so we just started. We had already been in initial discussions with David's Bridal because they had launched a quinceañera line of dresses. And so we just kept those conversations going. And yeah, they were building an app called Pearl by David's that's a marketplace for weddings and quinceañeras and everything in between. And so we just kind of fit the bill. And that's how I can't talk a lot about it, but that's
right.
eventually where we ended up.
That's eventually where you ended up. Okay. Is there any learning for our viewers? You raised $2 million. Most people are probably going, that's a lot of money. What did Kim do with $2 million? Like, what were the pros and cons of raising capital?
Lots of cons. I mean, it's different when it's your own money that you're, I don't want to say burning because I never felt like I was wasting money, but it's different when you test things. Like we would kind of be like, oh, I'll just test this, this, and this instead of putting a lot of money. Like could be our last dollar. Let's really think hard about this. It's different when it's someone else's money. When it's your own, you take a step, you really think things through. Um, in all honesty, like we built an app technology at the time. Now with AI, it's not as expensive, but at the time,
It's
like we
expensive.
built a full app from the ground up. And so it was expensive. I mean, at one point our expenses were like over $100,000 a month between payroll and ad spend. And, we had like a small office, but I mean, nothing crazy. I had like my team made more money in their salaries than I did. And yeah, it was just crazy. I mean, I totally underestimated the amount of money that we needed to get this off the ground. And then I totally understand why people are like, oh, I'm going to raise, X million dollars. And then in a year, I'm going to raise another round. And it's like, why do you need so much money? I totally see. Like when you're in
Yeah.
that game, like you need to acquire the eyeballs to be valuable. that costs money if you don't have more money coming in. And so I vowed when I sold that company, at first I said, I'm never doing this again. I'm going to take this
Uh-huh.
win. I'm going to take this amazing opportunity, with the entrepreneurship and innovation team at Michigan State University. It was an offer to me, and I was like, this is like a dream job. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, never start another company again. But knowing me, if I do dabble in something, I will never raise outside capital. And so that's
Yeah,
kind of where we ended up. And yeah, it's
I
been
know.
a roller
It's been
coaster
that
ever
way ever
since,
since.
Dave.
I know. So just unpack real quick again, because these are about reinvention moments. So you sold the business. It wasn't necessarily a bad experience. It was a learning experience, obviously, that got applied to what you're doing next. But at the moment, it was a dark moment, obviously. How did you get through that moment? What got you through?
Honestly, the pandemic, I mean, everyone had something going on. People were losing loved ones. My business not being in business, if at the end of the day it was going to shut down, it would have been devastating, but it was something that was completely outside of my control. So
Yep.
actually, during the pandemic, when it first happened, um, one of our vendors reached out. She made dresses and they were in Vietnam. And she said, Miss Kim, if you want masks, we make masks for already in Vietnam because we use masks because of pollution every day. If you know anyone who's looking for masks, please let us know. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh, that's interesting. So I just posted on my personal Facebook page because I literally just had my friends and family. And I'm like, if anybody needs, cloth washable masks, let me know. I can connect you with a supplier. I got flooded. So our area is a huge manufacturing community. And
Yeah.
so employers were like, can I get 10,000? Can I get 50,000? The school districts, can I get 30,000? Can I get 100,000? And I was like, holy criminy. So I went back to my team and I said, I don't know how long this pandemic's gonna come, but we should do this. So we quickly, in a day, launched a site called Do You Mask. That summer we sold just under $500,000 in masks, which ended up paying payroll. I'm like, if we can't have events, we'll hustle doing something else in the meantime. And so we did that. And then ultimately everyone was in the mask game. And
Yeah.
I really just needed to pivot on the business and either sell it or just keep us alive just long enough to get out of the end of the pandemic. And so that's what we did.
Wow. Okay. Lemonade from lemons, so to speak. You leaned into the pen, but it sounds like these things just keep happening. I don't feel like it's luck. I feel like you're kind of manifesting them in a way, or you'll see something someone else doesn't see as clearly, and then you fearlessly go after it. Next thing you know,
Dave,
it's a
it's
business
keeping your eyes and ears open all the time. And it's
all the
almost
time.
like chess. I see something or I hear something and I think boom, 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 where could this go? I need to back up to see if it actually could become a reality.
I
And
know.
it's crazy. It's like almost every day. I'll
I
see
know.
something that could potentially be something in my business and it's like, could this be an opportunity? And then I back up and and it's like, nope, that would fail or it wouldn't work because of this. But it's constant. And so everybody says, how do you do it? I'm like, you just got to keep your eyes and ears open. And in all honesty, I'm cursed by FOMO, the fear of missing out. I am like, if this is big, if this actually works, it could do this. I don't have the fear of trying or of the risk. I'm like, what would it risk? A couple $1,000s of buying a couple masks? Okay, I'm really
Right.
willing to make that risk because if it works, that fear of missing out, it could be this. So I need to at least try it at a small scale. And so that's
It's
kind of been
unbelievable.
the recipe along the way.
So FOMO is part of it, and part of it is you have, to quote the movie, a sixth sense. Like you see things other people don't see. I'd like to believe I have similar way of looking at the world. I do look at things that way often. Is there a business in this? How does this apply? It's interesting how your brain constructs though the opportunity and then the fearlessness. Just in the one hand, it's FOMO. On the other hand, you are fearless in how you operate. You just, it's not reckless. You're just going. What's the worst that can happen? Yeah, que me cuesta,
That,
as we say.
yeah, ¿Cuánto cuesta exactly?
Yeah,
I remember when I had Mi Padrino, I was like, "Who could I talk to?" Big name, who are big names in the industry? And I was like, Univision or Univision. I'm like, maybe somebody at Univision would wanna do a partnership. Maybe we could do some type of, quinceañera show. Maybe we could do something with them on our site. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's something there. But I'm like, "Who could I talk to?" I know absolutely no one. I'm a 6 foot tall gringa from nowhere, Michigan.
right.
I don't know anyone. And I remember I was talking to my grandfather, and he super successful before he sold his business, and he was just like, just talking and talking and talking, just had like not a care in the world, giving me all this insight. And I wasn't necessarily listening to the story that he was telling me. I kept thinking, I need to get in front of somebody like him who has been there, done
Right.
that, and has all this time on their hands. And like literally, I went back home, got on LinkedIn, and I was like, LinkedIn, like who has worked at Univision, what type of roles, maybe they're retired. And I ended up finding somebody who was like the president of the board who had retired. And so I just pinged him on LinkedIn thinking that he would not respond. Again, what's the worst thing that can happen? Him not responding? Okay, I'm exactly where I started. Him responding and telling me to take a hike?
Yeah.
Okay, who cares? What
Yeah.
could happen? He could actually respond and maybe something magical could happen at the end of it. Guess what? In seconds, he responded and he was like, wow, I love the name of your company. Do you have time tomorrow to meet? I was like, sure. He's like, can you call me at this time? We'll grab a half hour. 3 hours into that conversation, I'm like canceling meetings. I'm like, I'm sorry, my meeting's running over, but I need to keep on this call. He ended up introducing me to the current president, CEO of Univision, just because I had the guts of just like trying to reach out. Like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
tell this story a lot because I'm like, who cares? Like, what's the worst that can happen?
These are
So
all foreshadowing because Kim, you should know, has reached out to some very powerful people, and there's been some interesting things that have come of it. I do want to talk. We'll go at the end because you're a teacher as well, and you're passing on a lot of these lessons to other people. I'll touch upon that, but I want to keep going with your entrepreneurial story, which was okay. So you're at this crossroads in your life. You obviously just had a child. You're fifth. Um, then what happened? Tell us the story of how the sort of the origin story of Soberish, unbeknownst to you, what happened?
So I sold me Padrino, took this amazing role at Michigan State University, and I was coaching or their research foundation, and I was coaching companies on how to scale their businesses. And so I work with companies, whether they're medical devices or all kinds of things, like every industry, whatever. But every company needs marketing and their sales.
Yep.
And and hopefully people who are listening know that marketing changes every day. Like something that was trending last week or something that like the algorithm picks up this month is different from last month. SEO, for example, now with AI, like is completely different. And so I thought I am not really doing service to these companies because I'm out of the game. Like I've been out of the game now for almost a year. And so the companies kept saying, have you used TikTok? And my response was always, no, but my kids do. And I thought that's not a good response. I should at least know how the dashboard works. I should know how you post a video as a business. How can you boost a video? How do you do ads? How can you do collabs? Was like, I need to know. And so I'm like, I'm just going to post a couple of videos. I am 40 years old. There is not a soul that knows me on this app that will like care. Like my friends and family are on Instagram and Facebook. No one will know me.
Right.
I just started posting videos about all kinds of stupid stuff just because I just wanted to like see how it worked. I didn't want to
Like
become
what?
famous and go
What did
viral.
you post? What did you post?
I posted like how to invest in your first real estate like property. And then I did a video about like you say you want to be a landlord, and then I showed like somebody destroying one of our properties, but nobody really cared. And so I'm like, well, okay, it doesn't matter. I'm not doing this for that. But I thought, how cool if I could actually crack how videos go viral. At the same time, my mom, who struggles with alcoholism, moved in with us. And I'm like, Mom, like this whole like sober curious movement is a thing.
Mhm.
There are so many products out there, some that just like taste really good, that like give you this like more like elevated cocktail experience, others that actually give you a buzz without alcohol. And I'm like, we should try some. And so I'm like, I see these people doing video reviews on products. I'm like, I'll just do a video review. And so I was a non-cannabis user. So one of the products that we tried was Can. And so Can has hemp-derived THC and CBD. But again, as a non-cannabis user, I'm like, is the CBD going to get me high? Like I had no idea that like what cannabinoids did. And I remember just like cracking the can and going like, all right, it's probably going to taste like a skunk's ass. Mom and I are ready with Doritos. The couch is clean. We're going to like probably get super
Pellet
high.
cleanser Doritos. Love it.
Yeah, like we are going to just like veg out but I'm going to try this and I'm going to report back. So first thing I do is I try it and I'm like, holy crap, this is delicious. And then I look and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's only 20 calories. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm like, okay, well, I'm probably going to get like crazy high and anxious and whatever. And I'm going to be a terrible mother because whatever. I ended up reporting back that I'm like, guys, I had the best wine-like buzz. I'm like, I don't know how this shit's like legal. Like, I don't know how they send it to my house. And so then I was researching like what the hemp drive language, how it's federally legal, how you're able to ship it. I was like, why is no one talking to people like me? Because
Yeah.
I was trying to get rid of the baby weight. And so I'm like, I don't want to just drink all of these empty calories, but I also want to take the edge off at the end of the day. I also like want to turn my mind off, at night. That's why I'd like have like a glass of wine at nighttime to try to like turn my brain off and go to sleep, which ended up only making it worse. And I'm like, but why is no one talking to me? And so what I realized though, again, keeping my eyes and ears open, that women would not only comment on videos, but they would, more importantly, direct message me because they were embarrassed to ask publicly about things. I think they were thinking their kids were going to see, or their spouse, or the neighbor, or the other soccer mom. And so they would private message me and ask me all kinds of questions, the same questions that I had. And so we started trying these products. Brands started sending us products. And it was cool because we were like mini influencers. And my mom and I thought it was so cool that brands were like sending us free stuff to try. But like half the products people would send, or these brands would send us, were garbage. And I remember looking at one and I'm like, was this made in his bathtub? Like the labels looks like it was like put on like by hand. Like it just looks bad. And I'm like, why is there not like an Angie's List of tried and true products? And I'm like, wait a minute. All these brands have given me like affiliate links, which is a link that comes like if a customer clicks on it, purchases, they know it came from Kim Gamez. And then I could get a commission if I wanted to set that up. But at the time, I'm like, I don't want you guys are small businesses, just keep your money. I don't want any affiliate payout. But because I'm a nerd, I want the affiliate links and I'm going to put together just this landing page. So one page of a website, and I put all the pictures of the products that I was trying and then just links to their site. Because I thought, I want to know how much value I'm adding for these brands. And I remember telling my mom, I'm like, I think we probably sell like $2,000 worth of products for these brands. I bet you anything, like there's a lot of money because people are telling me like, oh, I bought it, it's great or whatever. And we put up that site and in 1 month we did $60,000 in sales through affiliate links. And
You
I was
gotta be
like, wait a
kidding
minute.
me. That's
I
top
remember
line
looking at
sales, as they call it,
top
GMV,
line sales.
not commission to you. You sold
No,
60,000. And how many videos did you post to get $60,000 in sale? Were you posting
it
every
was
day?
one it was 1 month, and at that time I posted a
Uh-huh.
video every single day.
Okay.
And it wasn't one video per product. It was a video, and this is kind of in my hack that I'm all about use and reusing content. So you do a long like video review that's a couple minutes long. That's one video. Then you take like the highlights of it and mash that
Uh-huh.
together. That's another video. Then you take away what you're saying and put like script on the screen, like point of view, and you and your mom get into the giggle grass. That's a video. Like it's all the same video, but you're cropping it and cutting it into many different pieces of content that you
Okay.
can use or reuse. And so I would post every day, but it would be things like that. So I would only really do like 1 or 2 video reviews a week with my mom. And so when it came back that we did that, $60,000 in sales, I remember looking at my mom and I'm like, damn it. This is a business. This is not a
This is a
hobby.
pattern in your life, though, Kim. Do you see a pattern here? This is
Well, I
unbelievable.
was just trying to be curious. I just could not help myself.
Curiosity. We'll add that to part of what makes you you. Okay.
And yeah, so heads down, I was like, I did this at Mi Padrino. I can build. I was a non-technical founder when I started Mi Padrino, but at the end of 5 years, I was technical enough that I knew I could build this. And so I built what is now Soberish, so soberish.com. We had at the time that we launched just affiliate links everywhere until I could develop on the back end how to actually directly connect to the other brands' websites. So we don't actually hold any inventory, which is the beautiful part about our platform. So when a customer comes to the site, they can check out of all the products, and then each one of the brands and warehouses fulfills those orders. And so I was like, I don't want to have all this inventory. I need to do this the smart way. Knowing what I know now about what I did know at Mi Padrino, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. It has to work like this. If not, I'm not doing it. And another thing, I'm like, I'm not doing this if I have to put any money in. So those $60,000 in sales, I was given roughly $4,000 in commission because I would get anywhere between 5 and 15% commission on those sales. And I ended up taking it. And that's what I used to
Startup capital.
start the website, to I hired, like, I had to start a company, so like a little bit of legal fees or whatever. And so I've never invested a penny of our own savings in this. And then
Okay.
over the last year and a half, we've developed some products that I just wish existed in the world.
All right, we're
So
going to talk about this because people might be going, "This is cute. This is very nice. 60,000 is a lot, but what did this turn into?" So let's unpack this a little further. So affiliate links, then you connected the dots. You're drop shipping, as it's called in this space, through a marketplace. Um, you started with 0 followers. Give people a sense of, like, from when you started to now, some of the metrics in terms of how many people are following you and what sort of sales are coming through your marketplace today.
So I was only posting on TikTok. Right before we actually launched Soberish.com, my TikTok account got banned because they assumed I was selling drugs online. And so I went down to 0 followers on TikTok. At the time, I had 123 followers, 123 period, not 1,000,
Right.
123 followers on Instagram, and literally my friends and family on Facebook.
So
Never have
3
ever
years ago?
tried.
How many
This
years ago is
is
this?
this is 2 years ago.
2 years ago, you had 0 followers on TikTok and you were banned from TikTok. Continue.
And so I thought, well, goodness, Kim, you're going now and telling companies at the university, do all these things. Drink your own Kool-Aid, girl. Get back out there and start from 0. You'll be able to do it again. And
Yep.
so I just started posting on TikTok. But then I'm like, if I'm actually going to create a business from this, I need to go where our customers are. The Kimmy Gamezes of the world are on Instagram and Facebook
Yeah.
as well. So I'm like, I just am going to swallow my pride. My friends and family will probably cringe seeing me in videos, but I'm just going to try it. They might like it. They might spread the word. I don't know. Like if I hate it, I can just stop. I can take down the videos. And so I'd post on TikTok, literally copy the caption, immediately then post it on Instagram that would post on Facebook. I started doing that 2 years ago in January. Now I have over 200,000 followers per platform. I reach over 30 million people a month. On all, like, it's around 10 million per platform. And we went from this little idea to our first year without ads, press, or investment. We did $1 million in sales. Last year, we ended up just under $8 million in sales for the year.
Okay, so for those doing the math, that's called, compounded growth, CAGR, year over year, with 0 outside capital and 0 knowledge of this industry and limited knowledge of TikTok. Now you're on other platforms too. Kim, congratulations. I've told you this privately, but hopefully people are listening and they're blown away by what they're hearing, but hopefully they're also inspired and they're taking good notes here. Although, again, folks, you can't manufacture the way Kim operates. She's unbelievable. So circling back, so you're selling other people's products. I'm
Mhm.
assuming, by the way, you never gave a negative review, right? It was all positive because you want to move product. You weren't like, this is trash, and then it's on your marketplace, right?
No.
Like, you were never like, it was all positive.
So I am a small business entrepreneur. I know every
Yeah,
product started in the house of someone with a dream. And so I
right,
would never do a public bad review, but I just said that product will not work on our platform. So we
right.
have tried every single product that we sell, and we only do honest reviews. So for example, there are products that I say, I love the cocktail line. I am personally not a fan of the seltzer line because I don't like, lightly flavored seltzers, but my mom, on the other hand, loves the seltzers. So it's always just this like positive review if I can. But if I flat out hate a product, if it tastes bad, if it's not manufactured appropriately, if it doesn't have the lab results that we're looking for, we do not carry it, we do not promote it, but I also do not I don't talk bad about them online.
Right,
That's
right,
not
right,
that's
right.
not my style.
Now,
So, but with that, like right before we launched the Soberish.com, I was like, playing with all these mocktails, so just these non-alcoholic spirits and, juices and what have you. And I kept thinking, gosh, I wish this mocktail gave me the same buzz that I would get from these cans of products that I would try, or these gummies or edibles that people would send me. Like, I really like that like microdose buzz because it really did to me feel like wine. Like it like took the edge off. It was just enough to like just relax you and get you a little bit giggly. And I'm like, why is there like, can I put something in this? And I was thinking like maybe it's a stick pack, maybe it's a shot. I didn't know. And I was like, wait a minute. I want to be able to measure it because again, as a non-cannabis user, I'm like, I want to make sure I get just enough. I don't want to do too much because I need to be able to function tonight. I need to be able to take care of my kids later. I need to be able to know that I'm not buzzed when I go do whatever tonight. And so I was like, maybe it could be a dropper. like with a line and it's water soluble, like it must mix into whatever I'm doing. So like, I don't want it to be messy. I don't want it to be a powder. And so that's how we created our Soberish drops. And that's been our number one SKU since the day we launched. That was one of the times that I was like, how many bottles do I order? Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never had a consumer packaged good like this before. And I'm like, should I order 1,000? Should I order 10,000? Should I order 100? Like, I had no idea. I had nothing to like base projections off of. And so I remember I I gave myself like a little loan. So I'm like, if I sell these, I'll just pay myself back. But I ended up buying 1,500 bottles and I just started showing them. I showed the whole process. I was like, oh my gosh, the caps don't fit in the bottles. Like, now what am I going to do with 1,500 of these now? Like, I would just share all of that online. And so by the time we launched, we had a wait list that we sold out in 3 days.
Yeah.
And I
Because you
thought
built
that
brand. You built brand and people love
Mhm.
you, obviously, and they were invested in your story. And obviously they wanted it to succeed because they wanted to try this. You pumped, you primed the pump, and necessity was the mother of invention in this case. Can you just unpack real quick, again, a moment of most people are like, oh, that's a great idea. Like, where the fuck do I even start with this? Like, you started like R&Ding the product. Like, how did you even manufacture this product? Like, it sounds like we snapped our fingers. Must have taken a while. Like, where did you
it
manage? What?
did.
Yeah.
So remember can that I talked about, the canned
Yeah.
beverage called can.
Uh-huh.
I was like, what is in this? Did some research, asked can, how am I getting high? Like what? Like how am I getting this buzz? We're like, that is hemp-derived Delta-9 THC. That
Yeah.
is, and I'm like, but why is it fast? Like, how am I feeling this in 10 minutes? Why is it not like the gummies that I feel like in an hour? And they're like, because it's water soluble or it's emulsified, which basically means like they take the oil
Goes
particles
right
and
into your
up,
bloodstream. Yeah.
so you absorb them faster. You start absorbing them in your mouth. And so I'm like, oh, so then I just started looking up Delta-9 emulsification, like who produces this? And then I just, again, no shame in my game. Hi, my name's Kim Gamez. Do you sell just the stuff? Like I had like no idea even what it was called. And they were
Where were
like,
you calling? A lab? Like, where
yeah,
is
I would
this?
find things online. I just
Okay.
researched and I was like, I don't even know what to ask in a chat bot or in like a
Right.
email. So I have to call you because I'm like, I know I sound crazy, but then I leaned on to like, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've done all this stuff. I've been on the Today
Right.
Show. Find me in Forbes. I was like talking me up just so they'd actually take my call. But literally, like I had no business, like absolutely no. But they were like, how many milligrams? I'm like, I don't know. I have to get back to you. And I'm like, I don't know how many milligrams I'm supposed to be asking for. Like, I just had no idea. And so
Yeah.
just like learning like on the fly,
Yeah.
and then just taking like one call that would lead to the next call. Like the one company I talked to this amazing woman named Diana. We're still very good friends. And she's like, girl, we sell we own the technology, but not necessarily the product. But let me connect you with the manufacturer that does that. And so then they connected me with him. And he's like, well, we don't really bottle the product, but if it's just for a short run, let me just, we'll try it for you, but then we'll have to connect you to a new manufacturer. And so I was just like becoming like,
Dialing. Yeah. Just kept going
and
down the.
this real. People want to work with real people. That I was
Yeah.
asking questions, I was thanking them, that I was like, thank you so much for your time. You're just loving on them. And that's just taking that step by step, which ultimately got to our first bottle of drops.
This is unbelievable. And I'm assuming now there's competitors. At the time, obviously, this either did not exist or was very difficult to find what you're talking about here, right?
Yeah, there's competitors. I mean, I think kind of anyone who's currently in this space has probably been like, I could just put that in my drink, in my Diet Coke or in my water. You know, because when
Right.
we're trying these different like emulsions that go into products, the manufacturer sends you just the emulsion. And so you're already trying them in things. So I'm assuming they thought like we could just sell this, maybe. I don't know. But there are definitely competitors in the market. But
Okay.
we, take the time to use, high quality ingredients. Our product, I say, is made for women and men. But like for women like me, I feel like a lot of these products are made for men, if I can say it out loud. And men that are comfortable going into dispensaries where the people I know that I maybe associate myself with are terrified to go into a dispensary, that we don't want someone to see our car in the parking lot. I don't know why. I don't know where the stigma comes from, probably because we were raised in the DARE era. But I was like, I want to create a safe space for her where she can come and ask questions and we don't overcomplicate things and she knows exactly what
Yeah.
she's getting. So that's what
So,
you're getting at Soberish. Yeah.
yeah. So you really, you talk about your customer, you call her she. Does she have a name,
Mhm.
by the way? I forget. It's just,
No.
but you know everything about this person. Some of it's a reflection of you, obviously, but you've learned a lot about other people, right? Not everyone's exactly you. Tell about, how did you understand your customer? You're just, again, here you are listening again and really dialed in to who she is, right?
Yeah. Pick up the phone and call them. I mean, when they check out on our website, I know her name. I know where she lives. I know her email. So if it's associated to a business, I can take that URL and see where she works. I can pick up the phone and call her. And that's what I did. I would see somebody order a couple times and I'd just call and I'm like, hi, this is Kimmy from Soberish. I know this is weird. I'm so sorry, but like, I would love to know, like, I'm assuming you like the product. You've ordered a couple times. Like, can I ask you how you use it? Not like, do you like it? Like,
Right,
hey, we're gonna launch this. Would you like that? No, leaning into like, when do you use it? Why do you?
right,
Why? How did you hear about us? And so it's like we know now. A lot of our customers come from organic social media. They see me online. They also maybe they don't see me online, but one of their friends or family follows me online or sees what we're doing. And then they come back when you're at Christmas or you're at a family gathering and you say, I'm trying not to drink as much. They're like, oh, I know this Kimmy G girl on social media. She owns a company called Soberish. You should check her out. And so it's that word of mouth. And then I brought back my right-hand guy, Jordan, from the Meet Padrino days, who is a
I was
whiz
gonna
at
ask.
ads. And so now we're spending a lot of money on advertising, but that's because we know when she comes, she repeat purchases. So like 40% of our customers buy again. And so it's just like really understanding her journey and why she's using the products and how she's finding us. It's just constant. Like I talk to customers every day. Like it's just a constant learning. So I
Yeah,
can build because Dave, I'm not building products for me anymore. I'm building products for her. And so
right.
who is she? And there's many facets of her, but we need to build products for her.
But think how your brain works. Like you're literally like, I don't know, it's not even qualitative, it's quantitative. You're talking about like tons of people and the way you're able to piece it together and know all these details, and it's projectable at this point, so much so that you're putting money into it. You know it's going to work, That's knowing your customer, folks. That is, again, that's difficult. It sounds easy and it's just because you are who you are, but that is a real important skill in what you're doing. So kudos to that. Um, all right. So Kim obviously is an industry. Kim, talk about giggle grass. Why we have to call it giggle grass. On this podcast, we can call it whatever you want. And then I wanted you to talk about the latest adversity you're facing in the giggle grass industry. And then I have follow-up questions. Please share that story.
Remember, I got banned on TikTok for selling drugs online, which our
Yes.
product are federally legal hemp, which because of the 2018 Farm Bill, I'm able to buy, source, sell, ship these products nationwide. And but social media as a whole sees it all as the wacky weed. And so after I was banned, I realized like one morning I woke up and my cheeks hurt so bad because the night before I was trying this product, this new line of products, and I laughed so hard that my face hurt. And so I was like, oh my God, this is funny. Like, I'm just gonna, because I'm like, could be a good video. I don't know. I'm like, I don't care. Because I looked in the mirror and I was like, I wear fake eyelashes. And I was like, oh my God, I cried like half my eyelashes off last night. So I'm like, funny. So I threw out my phone and I was just like, oh my God, girl. The giggle grass got me again. And it just like came out as the giggle grass. And I was like, my cheeks hurt. I cried my eyelashes off, that damn giggle grass. And people were like, giggle grass, that's funny. And I was like, wait a minute. I don't, but they understood what I meant. And I didn't have to say THC, CBD, Delta 9, marijuana, weed. I didn't have to say anything. I said giggle grass, and they're like, that's funny. We know exactly what you're talking about. The issue with that, though, is that everyone gets the giggles with THC. Some people just get chill. Some people get whatever. I turn into a raging hyena. So for me, it's the giggle grass. But yeah, so that's why I've stuck with it. So now people, it's funny, they come to the website and they're like, I want the giggle grass. And it's like, it's not called giggle grass, but
But
so I
this is like a
think it sounds
hack.
a little
It's
bit
like,
confusing, but
But again, necessity, the mother of invention. If you call it the other thing, you're banned and you effectively have no business, I'm assuming, right?
Correct.
So unbeknownst to you, you're like, okay, I'll just call it something else. People are like, wink, wink, I get it.
Hmm.
And this has worked out really well for you. Um, but it is a heavily regulated space. Tell viewers what's going on in this space and what is the latest headwind you're dealing with.
Well, when the government recently was shut down due to the budget, a senator snuck in, he added some language to essentially take out that farm bill language. So
Yeah.
any hemp derived cannabinoid would be essentially illegal. And so what that, or any trace of THC. So what happens though, if you think about it, that the hemp plant, people don't understand the difference between hemp and marijuana. It's super simple. It's cannabis. All of it is cannabis. When the cannabis plant starts to grow in its infancy, before it has a lot of THC, that's called hemp. When it keeps growing and it gets big old flowers and it does all the things and it's like really potent THC, that's marijuana. Same plant,
Uh-huh.
different forms of like plums and prunes. Essentially the same thing, different stages of their life. And so what happens though is that that plant, when it starts to grow, has trace amounts of THC. Even if you don't use the THC, that plant then is illegal. Farmers that growing that plant are now growing an illegal substance or an illegal plant. So that language not only takes away our industry, hemp beverages and everything else, it takes away hemp string, hemp whatever, any other hemp oil, hemp that you use in like manufacturing, hemp across the board would go away. And so, yeah, that just it passed. And it was mainly because we believe that the senators and congressmen passing these were just like, we need the government to reopen. We don't want to fight about this. Let's get the government open. It's in there, but we'll deal with it later. And what that language said is that we have 1 year to comply or to create um, regulation around this category. Because right now in the Farm Bill, there's no age restriction, there's no milligram caps on THC. So you could potentially have a very high dosed drink or gummy or smokable, and legally, federally, you could sell it to a kid. Now, I'm not saying at Soberish, we are 21 plus. We only sell products that are 10 milligrams max because our customer is new to the category and I don't want her to get hurt. And so we are being responsible, and so many others like Soberish, the products that we sell for other brands, they're also being responsible, same thing, 21 plus. But there are so many bad actors. And so the hope is, yes, this category needs to be regulated. The hope is in this year that it will become regulated. And then we will all, the good actors will survive and thrive at the end of it. If not, they're already talking about extending it out another year. And so it's like, if it doesn't happen this year, you have one more year. So who knows where we'll end up. I'm feeling very positive about the category. The president just came and said how, CBD and hemp-derived low-dose THC is like a miracle, cannabinoid. And so it's great to see that, I know politics are all over the board, but just to see kind of both sides of the aisle are pro the plant. I mean, there's some that are against it as well, but it's great just to see that everybody's trying to actually create some strong regulation around the category.
Okay. But again, Kim, we're leaving out an important thing. So, folks, this happened, right? So essentially, Kim's entire business is like sand in the hourglass, ticking clock, day one, day two, ticking to who knows what's going to happen. What does Kim do? She goes on, I guess, every platform. I saw it on LinkedIn. And you sent a message to the President of the United States. Talk about, by the way, I'll put a link to the message so everyone can see it. But what happened, Kim? What happened from this? You're like, and again, Kim going, what's the worst that could happen? He never sees it. And then what did you
Mhm.
do?
So everyone and I belong to the Hemp Beverage Alliance or the association. So there's a bunch of
Yeah.
hemp beverages owners. There's like over 300 of us that are in this association, and everybody's like, reach out to your senator, reach out to your congressman, and I'm like, what do I do well? I like to talk to the masses. And I was like, I never talk about politics. Ever since I had restaurants, I vote. Yes, I do, but I do not need to share my opinion because honestly, my customers are on both sides of the aisle and they have their reasons. Um, and so when that happened, I thought, I'm going to say something about the president. One, because people are going to comment,
Yeah.
good or bad, about him. Okay.
Yep.
Bonus for algorithm if I want this to actually reach him, because people will comment and it'll like make a lot of views and maybe actually reach him. And then I thought, Kim, if this reaches him, you can't be like, hey girl, don't get stony baloney, the giggle grass and all this stupid language. You better
You
have
would
your
relate. You would understand that. Yeah.
I
Simple
know. I'm
speak.
like, there's a time and a place to be ridiculous, and this is not the time. So
Okay.
I thought about what I was going to say, and yeah, just like push record and edited it down so it was something nice. And yeah, it's reached millions of people on various platforms.
Okay. So we don't know if he saw it or his inner circle saw it, but what happened to sales after you posted that video?
A couple things. So not only did we post the video, but I also did reach out to our customer base. So we have, at the time, we had over 150,000 customers or email addresses. So we blasted them and just said, hey, here's a link. It'll honestly auto-populate a form. All you have to do is just put your address in it. It already has an email already prepped. Once you put your address in, it'll tell you who your senator is, and it'll automatically send this email to them from you. We tried to make it super simple. And so we asked our customers, one, to do that. But then, so it caused a lot of confusion because some of them thought we were going to go out of business tomorrow. I also was like, does this
Yeah.
mean that my credit card processor goes away tomorrow? Does this
Right.
mean that yes, or the postal office won't ship our products anymore tomorrow? So there were so many questions. My team, like, are we gonna have jobs next week? So I panicked, but I panicked quietly. Um, it was hard. It was another thing like the pandemic. Like, I can't stop this. I didn't cause this. I have zero control over this right now. But but at the I believe in God, and I thought, it's a sin to worry. And so, but what can I do? I can't just sit here and worry about what? And so I thought I can use my audience to try to reach people. I can use my audience for them to try to contact their representatives. I can maybe talk to the president. Why not? Let's try. So, but yes, sales went crazy. But it was also the time of the year. This happened, right before Black Friday. So,
Yeah, but you
November.
didn't control that. Again,
Mm,
just the fact that you see things, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. Que me cuesta. It's a good thing. Ultimately, I know people will support me. They love this product. And again, lemonade from lemons. You literally created a campaign, folks. She called it the Fear to Fuel campaign. This is someone taking her fear, which holds a lot of people back. She calls it something. She inverted it and called it fuel and created a campaign around it. You don't think about these things, probably, Kim. You're just doing these things, but it's unbelievable what you've been able to do. Just following, again, your intuition, your heart, common sense, knowing your customer. So I'll say kudos to that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Um,
you.
so as we look ahead, and we'll start to wrap up here, but I could literally talk for another hour with you. Um, what is your hope for your business and this industry? I'll tease it with, she also posted a video to Shark Tank and Kevin O'Leary saying, why am I not on Shark Tank? Although I don't know if you want, Mr. Wonderful's capital. Or maybe you do at this point. I don't know. You'll grow faster. Obviously, capital could help you grow. So what's your aspiration for this business? Are you going to eventually try to raise capital? Because you said, I'm never doing that again. Like, where do you stand on this?
Okay, so capital can mean a couple things.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you either need the money or you need the person behind the money. And so for me, I don't need thank goodness, knock on wood, I don't need the money right now. We are profitable. We are a very healthy business. Um, we're gonna have to pay taxes this year because we made money. So I don't need the money. Thank you. That's great. I need to, I feel like guilty even saying that out loud. But what I don't have is I've never had a brand, a consumer packaged good. And so, for example, we launched a product like a year ago, our Soberish shots. And so these are essentially like a flavored vodka replacement. So anything that you would use like Absolute Citron, you could use the Soberish citrus. You get a buzz, tastes like citrus. You could just, swap it out for your, flavored vodka. Anyway, those were made because I thought, if direct to consumer goes away, if I can no longer ship these products, like if regulation comes and says, all these products are legal, but you have to go through distributors like alcohol, like wine, beer, and spirits. I have no stores. I have hundreds of thousands of customers nationwide, but I am not in any retail stores. And so I don't know how to do that, Dave. Like, in all honesty, like, I've never done it. I don't know the lingo. It's one more thing. I could hire it, I know. But if I could bring on a partner who would want to invest and be a strategic investor in the
Mm,
sense of
smart
Mr.
money.
Wonderful with his wine brands, with his beverage experience, do I need his capital? No. Do I need his network, his experience, his everything? Yes. And so those are the types of potential partners that I would be interested in. But do I need them? No. Am I actively trying to hunt one down? No. Would it be
Kim, can I?
amazing to be on Shark Tank? Hell yes. It's been on my
Uh,
bucket list since my very first business. So yes,
right,
one
that
day.
alone, you would crush it, and sales would go through the roof, investment or not. So, can I put you on the spot? If you have 30 seconds or a minute to pitch Shark Tank or someone like Mr. Wonderful, what's the pitch? Why should they invest in this business, Kim?
We went from an idea to a business without, ads, press, or investment. We grew that idea to $1 million brand. We, make on average, 20% on those sales. Now we've, have a multiple of that. We've almost hit $8 million in our second year of business. We reach 30 million people a month. Our customers are eager and love our products, love our brand. And yeah, I would love your investment. But thanks for putting me on the spot, David. Did it? Were you gonna say
Well, I've seen you
something?
pitch it. I know. Look, if Mr. Wonderful got this far in the podcast, it means he's interested. Although I will clip this part out and we'll send it directly to his inbox.
Well, then I need to retake because you just put me on the spot. That was terrible. But
No, it was not. And everyone loves you. And really, the biggest thing is you left yourself out. Oftentimes, they're betting on the person as much as they are the industry and the business. And you've got an incredible business born out of literally seemingly nowhere, but it's not nowhere. So as we wrap up here, as we talk about lessons that outlive us, I told you I was going to come back to you being a teacher. So give me some lessons you'd like to share with either aspiring entrepreneurs or moms with one or more kids who are like, you know what, I've always wanted to do X. And what is your advice to people like this?
whether it's asking for that promotion or taking that first step in controlling, and making a business, a dream into reality, you have to say, like, what is the worst thing that can happen? And is it worth it? So if you wanted to open up let's say you wanted to have your own mechanic shop, or better yet, let's say you want to be a designer and you want to be a scarf. You think you could be this like global scarf designer. Start with one scarf. Wear it. One, see if anybody compliments you on it. Next, go to a farmer's market and try to sell a couple. See what they say. Listen to your customers. See the way they're touching and talking about it. Ask them things like, oh, like, are you on Instagram? Oh, you watch TikTok? Oh, my algorithm, I am on like the crazy side of the algorithm. Learn about them. What types of things are they interested in? Then and granted, you hand making these scarves is not scalable. But if you test it small, then you're like, oh, this works, this works. Then you can launch with one or launch with three, but lean on those customers to decide what colors, what fabric. Don't build it for you. But it's really with anything, like even with like your job promotion, what's the worst that can happen if you just ask? But the only way this works in any part of your life is you have to show up. You want to be the best mom, you want to be the best spouse, you want to be the best boss. You got to freaking show up and be the best person. And so it's exhausting. So whether it's you're a parent or you want to excel at your job or start a business, it's hard, but it's so rewarding to say, like, I look at my kids, like, we just got back from a family vacation and it was on a cruise. So there was like no phones, no signal. We actually had to like communicate only like us for days in a row. And I was like, man, my kids are incredible. Like, we did that. Like, they're not assholes. Like, how are they not assholes? They're incredible humans. So of all these business successes, like that is my biggest success. And so, but that's because I show up as a mom, I feel like. Like when my kids want to play a game, do I want to play a game sometimes? No. But do I? Yes. Because I want to be that mom. And I want to be that boss or I want to be that employee. So you just got to show up and do it, even when you don't want to. But anyway, hopefully that's a little bit of words of advice, but just do it. Just do it. And
Just do. I've
hopefully
heard that.
To all the women that are listening, I can do it. I have 5 kids. I can juggle it all. I'm in the middle of nowhere, Michigan, with absolutely no experience in anything. I had a liquor license at 20 years old. Did I know anything about anything? No. I was a beauty school dropout, for God's sakes. So, if I can do it, you can do it. Just, you have to try. You have to try to do it if you want to do it.
100% chance of failure if you don't try, as the
Correct.
saying goes. And you, my friend, are fearless. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend and fellow entrepreneur, Kim Gámez, founder of Soberish. It's been a wonderful conversation. I've just enjoyed, as I always do, talking to you. Hopefully everyone made it to this part because there's a lot of knowledge that was dropped in this episode. Life, business, reinvention, and lessons that outlive us indeed. Kim, you are living it. You are living proof. Thank you for being here today. And in a year, I'll check back with you. How about that?
Sounds good. It better not be a year till we talk next. I'm sure it'll be
No,
tomorrow.
definitely not. Definitely not. Thank you. Peace.
Life, business, reinvention, and the lessons that outlive us. This is the Dave of the Dead podcast.